Chris, what is our third main topic today?
Our third topic comes from Jamie Martin. Greetings from Ireland. Hey, John and crew. Did you guys see over the weekend that Avatar surpassed Force Awakens as the fourth highest grossing movie at the box office? I just find it really funny that people still are trying to make this movie out as a flop. Do you think there's more of a possibility of it beating Titanic as the third spot? Thanks and bring on the filthy.
All right. Thanks a lot for saying that in. And I mean, ho-hum, another Monday, another all-time milestone set by Avatar: The Way of Water. Hey, listen, I get it. There's some people that, John, why are we talking about Avatar: The Way of Water all the time? I don't know. We're a movie show, and this is one of the historic runs all time of any movie ever made. Can't imagine why we keep talking about it. At any rate, I think, you could break it into three groups of people. There were the group of people who thought Avatar was going to flop.
There's no pop culture footprint.
Yeah. And hey, listen, I was one of the people who said it doesn't have the pop cultural footprint as a lot of other things do. It died out fairly quickly. But then you get the second group of people that were kind of like me, where it's like, okay, Avatar, it's still Avatar. It's going to be a big hit. It's going to be a big hit. But the people like me in that group thought big hit, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 billion dollars. People like me said, but I can't see it getting to 2 billion. I mean, it's going to be a big hit, but I can't see being that big of a hit. Guess what? It came and went. The $2 billion mark came and went. It was right in front of it, and now it's in its rearview mirror. And now Avatar: The Way of Water, we can bring up my screen here, is now, not only did it become the sixth film all time to hit the $2 billion mark, then it entered the top 5 of all time. Well, guess what? It is now past Star Wars Episode 7 for the number 4 spot. It is now the 4th biggest film in history at $2.116 billion with a B dollars. Now the question becomes, can it enter the top 3? For James Cameron, it's irrelevant. James Cameron has the third film of all time already with Titanic. So either way, it's going to be a James Cameron film. So we were talking before about, guys, there's a chance that of the top 5 films of all time, 3 out of the 5 could be James Cameron films. Guess what? That discussion's over now. Now the discussion is 3 of the top 4. 75% of the top 4 all-time box office films are by one Canadian kid. One guy has made 3 of the top 4 biggest films in history, and the only other film that's in that list is a film that required 15 A-list stars, 12-year build-up, 20-plus films building up to it, and Avengers Endgame. That's the only film that can stand in the presence of 3 James Cameron films that are now 3 of the top 4 by one guy. By one guy. Don't let the significance of this slip under the rug. We are living in a world that has had Hitchcock and has Scorsese and Clint Eastwood and Steven Spielberg, Quentin Tarantino, the all-time greats, John Ford, the all-time greats, and 3 of the 4 most successful films in history are by one guy whose name, even by me, is never brought up in the Mount Rushmore of directors or whatever. And by the way, making money does not make you the best director in the world. I still wouldn't put James Cameron on the Mount Rushmore. I'm just saying that what this guy has accomplished here is stupid. It's stupid. Now, the 2 questions that remain. Number 1, can it catch Titanic? So let's look at this list again. Can it catch Titanic? Right now, it sits about $78 million behind Titanic. It can. It can. To get in the number 3 spot. Again, for James Cameron people, that's kind of irrelevant because they're both 3 and 4 spots are both going to be James Cameron films, whether one's over the other. The second question becomes the more interesting one. Could it catch Avengers Endgame? I have said for a while, even when it looked like it was going to get to that $2 billion mark, but I think everybody agrees. In the words of Vincent McMahon, no chance in hell. This movie is, you look at the momentum it has, even if you did 7 more re-releases, I don't think we're talking about a film that can make another $700 million at the box office. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think poor, unfortunate James Cameron is just going to have to settle for 3 of the top 4 instead of all 3 top spots, which is fine. And again, Chris, I know we've been talking about this run of Avatar: The Way of Water, but if you are somebody like us who appreciates the history of Hollywood and everything that goes into having a successful film and how rare it is to have any film hit this type of, to me, this is remarkable. I don't know what's standing out to you the most.
I mean, they're going to need to get bigger doors at the Disney lot, because how is his ego going to fit through the door frame? Goodness gracious. No, this is incredible. This is really, really amazing. I mean, to have that kind of success, to create blockbuster films that not only have made so much money, because that's, bottom line for so many studios, but also that have been cultural zeitgeist films, I think is really, really powerful. Because a lot of times, too, we've talked about how sometimes prestige films and box office don't seem to always go hand in hand, right? And it's really, really cool when you see films like this that have been taken seriously by the Academy, that have been taken seriously by critics, and that have been enjoyed by people too. It's really nice when the two come together, when critics and fans alike go, hey, I like this. And James Cameron seems to have the magic formula for finding that balance, so it's pretty dang cool.
Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Fume. Be smart. Don't start. Kick the habit. Put it out before it puts you out. All phrases we've heard 100 times, and yet we still continue to have bad habits. Today's sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. You see, Fume is not a vape. It's a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. Because instead of pods filled with potentially harmful chemicals like a vape, Fume uses cores infused with plants like peppermint and cinnamon for delicious natural flavors. And Fume's new version 2 model is snappy and tactile. With an adjustable airflow dial and a magnetic end cap, your fingers will always have something to do. The device itself is really attractive, and once I popped in the core and took my first inhale of it, it tasted fantastic. Guys, the easiest way to stop a bad habit is to switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed to perfectly do just that. So head over to tryfume.com and use the promo code Campea to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors and the new version 2 Fume to help kickstart your positive habits. That's tryfume, tryfum.com, and use the code Campea to save an additional 10% off your order today. And Rob, when people hear about like money, right? Well, box office does not equal quality. Nobody said that. The Transformers movies are a great example of that, right? Just because you make a lot of money does not automatically mean your movie is great. But it is not divorced from it, because the dollars that a movie makes are not like the stock market, where forces outside of your control determine whether it goes up or down. You don't fall ass backwards in luck. These types of box office numbers represent people. Every dollar represents an individual film fan going, I want to go out and watch that movie, and I want to go watch it again. And hell, I'm even willing to spend the ridiculous $29 price for an IMAX 3D screening. Like, it represents passionate people who want to keep going to see this movie. It's now in the top 4. It's past Star Wars, The Force Awakens, which is still the number 1 all-time domestic box office film. I don't think that's ever going to change, but it's now number 5 all-time. 3 of the top 4 of Cameron's. Which out of all this random bits of information is standing out to you as the most impressive?
Well, here's the thing that I think is crazy. Titanic's getting re-released for Valentine's Day in 3D in theaters. You could go to a theater and watch a James Cameron double feature in IMAX 3D.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, so Titanic is going to be adding more to its number 3 position. And I do think Avatar is going to overtake it, and they'll switch places. But I think that what I really love is you have a talent like James Cameron, a singular talent, a man who, he's the people's director. You know, he makes entertainments that at their basic, he just knows how to take the very basic essence of a story, and he knows how to translate that using cinematic technique in a way that appeals to all audiences. And that's not something that's easy to do. It's something that I would dare say is a singular talent. Because look, the Russo brothers, not to take anything away from Endgame, because I love Infinity War and Endgame, But
Oh, we all do, for sure.
not only did it build on all the Marvel movies that came before it, but the Marvel way of making movies, much like the Marvel way of making comics, you have a whole visual design department and a previs department. And there's a lot of people that are working to create those movies. James Cameron's like, it all comes from, you talk to all of his collaborators, it all comes from him. You know, it begins and ends with James Cameron. And he is the driving force behind the technology, behind the vision, behind the fact that you watch the making of The Abyss, and when everybody's gone home, he's sitting on the bottom of that nuclear power, the unfinished thing, watching dailies in a dive suit underwater. I mean, that dude there's been nobody like him in the history of film. There'll never be another person like him again. So it is not surprising to me that he is who he is. And you know what? At the end of the day, who wins? Well, sure, Disney stockholders,
Disney
whatever.
wins.
but I think ultimately audiences, year after year after year, he's been providing entertainment to us. Next year will be the 40th anniversary, 2024, of Terminator. So for 40 years, he's been delivering nothing but first-rate entertainment that has sprung from his imagination, and we are all the richer for it.
You know, going to something you just raised here too. Let's look at it from the Disney angle. Now, of course, Disney now, they did not make Titanic, they did not, but they now own that. It's these are properties, Avatar, Titanic, these are all properties that are under the Disney umbrella now. So here's just something fun. When we go back to this list and we look at this, the top grossing films of all time. Number 1, Disney film. Number 2, Disney film. Number 3, Disney owned film. Number 4, Disney film. Number 5, Disney film. Number 6, Disney film. Number 7, Disney adjacent. Disney adjacent. We'll call that one a tie with them and Sony. Number 8, you have to go all the way down to number 8 to get one that's completely divorced from Disney, and that's Universal's Jurassic World. Number 9, Disney film. Number 10, Disney film. Number 11, another Universal up there. Number 12, we got a Paramount. Number 13, Disney. Number 14, Disney. Number 15, Disney. Number 16, we get into Warner Brothers. I mean, it's not only for James Cameron, 3 of the top 4, but also it's a pretty good run for Disney's owned stuff right now. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Avatar: The Way of Water, by the way, number 1 at the box office again this weekend for its 7th week in a row. Again, only 3 films in the past 25 years. This is the stunning one to me. Only 3 movies in the last 25 years have been number 1 at the box office 6 weeks in a row. And they're all James Cameron films. What do you think about this thing now? It has passed Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Whatever you think about this, guys, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.